We're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm sure we'll have some more people jump on here in the next couple of minutes. Sometimes it takes everyone a second to sit down and log on. But first and foremost, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Haley Herzog, and I work here at our STgenetics headquarters in Navasota, Texas. My job is on the beef marketing team. I cover our ST Brahmin social media, our beef social media, and as well as the GDC, which is our genetic development center here. I also help Aaron keep our beef sire pages updated on the website and handle most of our advertising and marketing. So we are so excited to host our very first STalks customer webinar tonight. We wanted to start STalks just because we wanted to create a platform where our customers could join on virtually from anywhere and meet our team members, learn more about our bulls, and give you guys a chance to ask our team any questions that you might have. So again, thanks everyone for joining tonight, and we're just excited to get started and just continue to build these customer webinars. So we'll try and host at least one of these. Oops. Okay. Sorry about that. Again, we'll try and host at least one customer webinar per month, and we'll switch it up every now and then. Tonight is going to be just an introductory webinar introducing our team members. We have the director of beef genetics, Aaron Arnett, with us tonight, and he's going to be giving a presentation over a bunch of our beef sires, and then we'll open it up at the end for questions. If you don't want to ask your question here on the meeting, you can also just type it in the chat room here on the Zoom call, and I'll read it aloud and have Aaron answer it, or someone on our team will answer it for you. So again, tonight we just hope that you have your catalogs out and ready to go. If you would like to receive one of our spring beef catalogs and you haven't yet, then please email us at beef@stgen.com. We'll make sure that we get you one mailed as soon as possible. You can also message us on social media. I check our messages on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook every day. So if you just send us your name and your mailing address, I'll get you one mailed out. And one last thing I'll say is you could just be conscious of your microphones while Aaron's giving his presentation. We just ask that you mute yourselves until the presentation's over, and then we'll open it up, like I said, for questions. So Aaron, at this time, I'll turn it over to you, and it looks like your screen's being shared. So,
Great. Well, thank you, Haley. And it's a really an exciting evening to be with everybody, because this is our first time, like Haley said, that we're doing a kind of a public customer meeting. And we know in the era of COVID and winter travel, and you can name any reason under the sun to why it's easier to stay at home and watch this virtually rather than it is to get out and go to a meeting. We are having some customer meetings around the country, but we thought we'd try this version just to give folks an extra opportunity to kind of join in. So appreciate that very, very much. And as we get started tonight, I just wanted to show this picture of a bull that kind of helped get us started at STgenetics. This is SAV Rain Dance, his mature photo. And of course, he was one of the famous flush of Charlo brothers, and he's done very well for us. That bull now has daughters in production, beautiful udders, really, really nice cows. Some of the great cows that have ever been at Schaaf's will be sired by Rain Dance, and that bull continues to sell a lot of semen in our lineup. So I'd be kind of remiss if we didn't recognize him this evening and kind of start things off with him. But I wanted to take a minute and introduce our team just a little bit. We've got a really talented team that has years of experience. Some of our team has experience with competitor companies, and all these folks have a passion for the beef industry and have very specific skill sets and are very highly talented at what they do. We kind of break our US map up into regions. We've got 5 regions, and each of those regions has a regional manager. And so if you look at region 1, kind of in the west here, you've got John Jackson out of Billings, and then manage that region out of Idaho. If you guys could please mute your microphones, unless you're going to ask a question, we'll help that feedback kind of stay low. In region 2, kind of that North Dakotas area, Ryan Effling has been a great asset to our team, and he's now managing North and South Dakota as well as Minnesota. And he's got a lot of exciting things going, growing that business very quickly in that region. Danny Beckman kind of manages the middle part of the country. You can see in a light green color, region 3. Danny's out of Danville, Iowa. Luke Bradford from Texas, and Luke manages this dark blue area in the southern and southwestern portion of the U.S., region 4. And then Emily manages the region, everything east of the Mississippi River in this kind of dark green color. And Emily's out of our headquarters at Navasota, Texas. But all of these regional managers have a group of what we call ISRs, or independent sales reps, that work under them to sell and promote STgenetics products and services. And so each of these folks have 20 to 25 different reps maybe reporting to them at any one time. So this is a great way to reach out to STgenetics. If you're interested in our bulls, interested in buying semen from us, reach out to one of these regional managers. They'll put you in touch with the rep that's closest to you physically on the map. The other folks I want to introduce, kind of our headquarters beef staff. I work out of my home office in Ohio. I'm just north of Columbus, Ohio, but then these 3 ladies, Adeline Allen, Haley Herzog, who just introduced herself, and Allie, all work out of our headquarters at Navasota, Texas. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't do what I do in my job without their skill sets. If you see things on social media, if you like the way that our bulls are presented, if you like the way our catalogs look, these ladies are the reason that is so good. And I think I put them up against the best in the industry in terms of presenting beef genetics to an audience. So that's kind of our team, and most of those folks are on the call tonight. We're here to answer your questions, field any questions that you may have about genetics, about the use of sex semen, any of those types of things. The other group that I want to reference real quick is our call center at our headquarters in Navasota, Texas. And this group, led by Shelby Meyer, also Mason and Zach down there, they field all the calls that come into our 866 number, and they sell a lot of semen right out of the headquarters if you want to call in. And that 866-589-1708 number, and you'll get in touch with one of these 3 folks. And they are very talented as well. They know our bull lineup, and they can help you with any of the questions you may have, or can help you get semen ordered and shipped. So just a couple different venues and some neat things about STgenetics in terms of ways you can order. Not only can you go through those regional managers and independent reps, but like I said, you can call this call center. You can also go to stgen.com, go to our website, and on the top right up there, there's a tab that says order beef semen or buy beef semen. And if you click on that, it will take you through some steps to create a login, and you can buy beef semen right off our website. One of the unique features I'll show you in just a second here is our live chat option. So during normal business hours, you can type in a question in a live chat box, and you can get a response from one of the folks in our call center. And those folks, again, know the bull lineup very well. They can answer any questions you may have about STgenetics. You can also send us an email. We have a general email, beef@stgen.com, and that email account gets monitored on a regular basis. So let's take a look real quick at a couple of the features of our website I wanted to show. This is just an example of a bull's webpage that we have at STgenetics, and you'll see kind of the bull's information up in his picture, but then his EPD profile will be in the boxes down here, and we update those EPD profiles every Friday as they're updated at the American Angus Association. But one of the unique features that we have on our website, if you go up and you click on this orange box in the top left, that will take you to, in this case, the American Angus Association site, where you can look at the bull's more in-depth pedigree. You can go, look at that bull's web pedigree at the American Angus Association. So you can look more in depth at his EPDs. You can go way back in a pedigree just from clicking on this box here on a bull's web page. Of course, the pedigree information, individual performance data, some of the actual performance data on the bulls is listed here. And then maybe some footnotes or some selling points, kind of some high points of the bulls are listed on the page as well. Most of the bulls have a video. We know in the times we live in, videos are very important in terms of helping customers decide which bulls they may want to use. You can click on these bulls videos. Most of them have a video there. And I'm not seeing the live chat box. I thought it was copied in here, and maybe it's just my Zoom screen that's kind of covering it up. I guess it is. But on the lower right, there's that pink chat box. And if you click on that on a bull's web page, that's where you can interact with anybody in our call center. And you can ask them anything related to our lineup, anything about ordering semen, what's the status of your order, when will it arrive, what was a bull's actual yearling scrotal measurement, anything, and they'll find the answer for you. So that's kind of a unique feature to us, and we're very proud of that group that manages that. If you send a chat, text, or an inquiry through the live chat, and it's not during normal business hours, that chat will still be there when they come back and check it in the morning, and they'll get right back to you as soon as they get in the morning and see those messages. Wanted to share a little bit about some protocols, some synchronization protocols, and some things related to the use of sex semen. We're fortunate that the Beef Reproduction Task Force approved for 2021 for the first time in history, approved protocols for synchronization of beef cattle to be used with sex semen. And we're very, very excited about that. And we're happy to answer any questions you might have about that this evening. But those protocols are in our sire catalog. And this is actually just a screenshot out of our sire catalog. You'll see on the left here that several of the protocols for fixed time AI are just the protocols that are already approved for conventional semen. You just detect estrus, and maybe you push the timing of insemination out a little further than you would with sex semen, a little further than you would with conventional semen. A protocol that I know our team really likes is this split time AI protocol developed by the University of Missouri. This is kind of a hybrid using conventional and sex semen, depending on which animals show heat during that synchronization. And then on the bottom here is one developed by Texas A&M University that requires no heat detection, just a setup of a protocol that you can use sex semen for timed AI with no heat detection. So again, take a look at those. If you got questions about those later, our team will be happy to answer those. Just kind of an overview slide of what we prioritize at STgenetics Beef, and just to familiarize yourselves a little bit more with who we are and what we like to talk about. You know, first and foremost, it's helping customers achieve their success in their breeding programs, whatever they deem as the goals that they've set. STgenetics wants to help get them there. And of course, we're kind of the pioneer in the sex semen frontier, and that part of the business is growing more and more every day. One of the things that I think helps separate us or differentiate us from some of our competitors is that semen fertility is really, really important at STgenetics. And the reason that happened, it kind of happened by default, because only an elite bull in terms of semen quality will be a bull that can really be successful making sex sorted semen. And I think that's kind of bled over into our conventional semen business because of how we prioritize semen fertility, semen quality. And I hope that reputation and that goal in our company kind of comes through in the performance of our bulls in terms of their fertility. You know, early on in our development as a beef team, we were kind of sitting ducks by some of our competitors for saying, well, we don't have any proven bulls. And at the time we didn't. We only started in the fall of 2015 with a real significant beef lineup. They've had beef at STgenetics, but really got after it in a big way in the fall of 2015. And now I'm very proud of the fact that we've got over 20 active Angus sires in our lineup that are over 0.85 for birth weight accuracy. And that's kind of a milestone that we use to start talking about bulls as becoming more proven bulls. And so we weren't there at the beginning, but I think we're getting right there with some of our traditional competitors in terms of having what we would consider a very highly proven lineup. You're going to see that we prioritize genetic data and EPDs as we evaluate and select bulls to bring in. There's no question that EPDs are getting more and more important, more and more accurate than they were just a few years ago in many of the traits. And genomic enhanced EPDs are important to us. We don't die necessarily by genomics, but we know that piece of the puzzle is one that's going to continue to grow. And then there's some phenotypic traits that we think are really important, whether they're evaluated with an EPD or not. We like to make sure that we flush out all the details on these bulls, that being foot quality and fertility. And we want to see that those bulls are big scrotal bulls. They pass the breeding soundness exam, and they have really, really good feet underneath them. And we've got EPDs for that now in the Angus breed, but we still like to get our eyes on them. Somebody on our team is evaluating all these bulls before we'll ever bid at a sale. And I'm not going to try to tell you that all of our bulls are perfect footed. I don't think that's accurate. I don't think any genetic supplier has all their bulls with just perfect feet, but it's something we're trying at pretty hard. And phenotypic quality, you know, something that's hard to measure on paper, but we know that, you know, as customers, you want cattle that you can like, that you have to live with. And when you drive by them every day in the pasture, we want to make cattle that you like. And that definition may be different to different folks, but you know, we have cattle ourselves, most of us on our team, and you know, there's a certain phenotype that we're kind of going after. And then the maternal traits in these bulls, again, over the course of time, those are things that have been more difficult to measure on paper. Some of those genetic evaluations are getting better for the maternal traits, but you know, we sure like to order performance pedigrees on the bulls, make sure that cows have some record of doing their job and doing it well in terms of what they define as a maternal type female. And so those are some things that are important to ST. I think this company is really, really good at research and development. This company has invested a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of years in perfecting sex semen, and it's not perfect yet. I don't mean to imply that we're done. This company will continue to try to get sex semen fertility at a level that rivals conventional semen, and I think that relentless dedication to some of those research goals at ST is paramount in our team, and I think that's one of our strengths. Eco-feed, which is our term for feed efficiency evaluation. We have a big GrowSafe system in place at our headquarters in Texas. It's kind of a passion of our owner, Juan Moreno, and some of his colleagues over time. They know that feed efficiency is a heritable trait that we don't always have a good handle on in terms of genetic evaluation. So that's something you'll hear more from our team as well going forward. Genetic testing. We have a genetic testing company called Genetic Visions, and there's some interesting things we're working on with that company that may be available to STgenetics customers going forward. Let's get into the bulls here, and I want to start off by saying that not every bull that is a feature bull is going to be presented this evening. There's just not time. So if you're a bull owner who's maybe joining our presentation, I apologize if your bull is not on here, but we tried to get some of the features in here, but still try to keep our presentation in a reasonable time frame. I just want to start off by thanking all the bull owners and the breeders that have helped us get legs underneath the STgenetics Beef program. There's been a lot of breeders who have helped leased us bulls, given us bulls that weren't already committed by other bull studs, and just given us a start and believed in us. And Musgrave 316 exclusive would be a great example of that. Here's the bull that leads off our catalog. He has for a couple of seasons now, and for good reason. He's a 316 son out of a foundation daughter back to a boom time daughter, is the second dam back. And I always kind of describe this bull as a larger framed, higher performing version of his sire. Those 316 cattle have a really nice reputation for fleshing ability, body capacity, a real broody look to them. There's an end to those cattle maybe that can be awful moderate for some folks. Exclusive, just a bigger outline, higher performing version of 316, but still with no sacrifices in that volume and bloom and body capacity that you get out of that sire line. I also describe exclusive as kind of a calving ease bull with some power and type. Those things are kind of hard to combine in a pedigree and in a sire, and I think exclusive does that exceptionally well. This bull can be used on heifers. I think he's an 8 or a 9 on calving used direct. He's been used pretty successfully in a lot of heifers, but that bull sire's some phenotype as well. They're big, robust, topped, wide pen, deep quartered cattle that have a lot to them. And this sire group tends to have widespread appeal. Sometimes we'll hear a customer say, well, this bull worked really well for us here, but maybe not so much from another customer. And we've been fortunate with exclusive that folks in general kind of say that their exclusive calves are really, really good. They're kind of the leading sire group in places where there's been many sires sampled in the same environment. Exclusive has really good foot quality. He's available in Sexed Ultra 4M, which is our version of Sex Semen, 4 million cells per straw dose, and as well as conventional. So he's kind of our leading bull in terms of sales. You're going to hear a lot more from this bull. A lot of folks have already used this bull, and there's a lot of exclusive sons coming up in some of these Angus bull sales. Another bull that I think is pretty interesting is this young bull in our lineup called Myers Fair and Square. And Fair and Square is from a friend of ours in Kentucky named Joe Myers, a very respected Angus breeder in his part of the world. And Fair and Square is a blueprint son out of a Thunder daughter. His dam is a larger frame Thunder daughter and out of a cow family that's been very, very fertile. The grand dam of Fair and Square bred first service AI for 11 consecutive years. And you know, that's kind of hard to find anymore. Cows that last that long, and cows that'll breed first service AI for that number of years. So we thought that was pretty interesting about the story of Fair and Square. We found him as a calf on the side of his mother and went ahead and brought him in. The unique thing about Fair and Square is he's really, really outcrossed for a bull that's in the top 1% of the population for the dollar combined index in Angus. Most of the bulls that will be top 1% for dollar combined have very different pedigrees than Fair and Square. So we think there's a lot of flexibility to use this bull. This bull has outstanding semen quality. He came in and produced sex semen for us right away and is available in Sexed Ultra 4M as well as conventional. You'll hear me talk about how to mate these bulls a little bit tonight. And I want to kind of clarify that. It's not that I'm being critical of the bulls, but I don't believe that anybody, including STgenetics, has all the perfect bulls in their lineup. And so what we need to do is be able to figure out their type and kind and help our customers mate these bulls correctly on the right kind of cows. And so what I would say about Fair and Square is use him on real square hipped cows. He's by no means a droopy rumped bull, but he's a little rounder in his hip. And part of that's just muscle expression. But I can really envision Fair and Square working well on long level hipped cows that are long from hooks to pins. Maybe a little bigger frame cow that's really up-headed and long-necked. Cows like that, I think, would nick really well on Myers Fair and Square. Another unique thing about this bull, he's in the top 1 or 2% of the breed for his foot EPDs, and he kind of shows that this is a picture of his feet. Again, not all of our bulls are perfect-footed by any means, and I'm not going to claim that they are, but I think that Fair and Square has very good Angus feet. We know that that's an issue we're trying to resolve in the Angus breed. I love the symmetry of this bull's front feet and front toes. He's deep heeled from behind, just kind of resembles a lot of things that we would deem ideal in a set of Angus feet. Next bull to talk about is the top selling bull from Poss Angus in Nebraska from 2020. This bull is called Poss Rawhide. And Rawhide, that happens to be a 3/4 brother to the $900,000 selling Deadwood bull that they just sold in their 2021 sale. Rawhide is available in conventional semen right now, and he's producing very well, but we're selling it about as fast as he can make it as well. So here's a bull that order early and kind of get on the list for this spring if you want to use Rawhide. But one of the unique things about this bull, when we saw him as a yearling, and he expresses it today, this bull has just uncanny amount of capacity to him. He's so long, but at the same time, this bull has got so much depth from flank to flank, really good in his rib shape. You think about what that could mean in terms of a set of daughters. It's pretty exciting. Then you think about the cows that are right up close in this bull's pedigree. The dam of Maverick, the dam of this bull is an easy impact daughter, and then the dam behind that is an all-around daughter that I saw several years ago at Poss's. It's just a tremendous Angus female in terms of her type, her kind, her femininity, her udder quality. Maybe some of the things that we don't talk about quite as much on some of these bulls. I'll say that Rawhide has better feet than maybe his pedigree suggests. And I don't mean to be critical of bulls, anybody else's bulls or competitor bulls, but I think if we're well studied in Angus cattle, we may know that there's some pedigree back here that maybe doesn't have the best of foot quality. I think Rawhide kind of betters some of the things we'd expect in his pedigree in terms of these feet. Really, really symmetrical toes, very big footed, and a bull that sets down very evenly and spreads his weight across his feet. I love the head, the neck, and the shoulder design in this bull. He's up-headed. He's got great Angus breed character, very, very smooth shouldered. You know, if I were going to protect this bull a little bit in a mating, watch him a little on thickness. I would breed him to a big, hipped, thick-ended kind of a power cow. You get behind Rawhide, and I'll admit that, you know, he's above average for thickness, but he's not going to blow you away with thickness from behind. And that's kind of how I would protect him in a mating. But I think he'll add plenty of fleshing ability, plenty of softness of rib. He's our current top seller. And again, order early on this guy. We'll sell out. We're basically selling all the semen this bull will produce. The next bull I want to touch on is KCF Bennett Exponential. This bull was the top selling bull from Knollcrest Farm or Bennett's last spring. And we were very fortunate to get him. I guess one of the things that we thought was unique about him is among the bomber sire group cattle that we've evaluated around the countryside, we felt like Exponential was easily the best one phenotypically that we've seen. There's some good cattle out of that sire group, but this one is really, really robust in terms of the muscle he has in his top, the muscle expression he has through his hip and quarter. He's a super deep-bodied bull and just very, very impressive phenotypically, and we thought that was really nice given his pedigree and the outcross to his pedigree. He's sitting currently at about 340 for the dollar combined index. And again, if you look at other bulls around him that are that high for dollar combined, he's very outcrossed to them. Could be used on daughters of most of those bulls. One of the real substantial things about Exponential was that he just absolutely hammered his contemporary group in terms of performance. He was 114 ratio for weaning, 122 at yearling, 101 for IMF, and 117 for ribeye. He's currently the #1 used bull at Knollcrest, and Connelly's have used him. They're all having the first sets of Exponential babies right now. So that bull got well sampled. We're pretty excited about this guy. We think there's a lot of places to use him, lots of mating flexibility. This bull has slightly more than average set to his hind leg. You might want to use him on a female that's a little more upright in the angles of her joints, a bull that just gets just a little more condensed in terms of that angle to his hock. So a bull that's very, very sound, just a little more set to his hind leg maybe than average. He's available in sexed ultra. We had him conventional to start. Here recently he became available in sexed semen. The next bull to discuss is Connelly Emerald. And Connelly Emerald was the top selling bull from Connelly's a couple of years ago. He's a Confidence Plus son out of an Armory daughter. Lots of breeders like to talk about balanced traits, and I think for good reason. It's easy in this industry, and particularly in the Angus breed, to chase extremes, go for the highest number. And you got to pause and ask yourself, is that the best thing for your cow herd? Is that the best thing for long-term viability of an operation? And so lots of folks are looking at balanced trait cattle, and I think that Connelly Emerald is one of those to a very high degree. He got sampled extremely well as a young bull. He now has over 400 birth weight records, showing 99 at birth, close to 250 weaning records at 100, and he's 101 for a yearling. I didn't put that in there, but he's now has over 300 genomic progeny. His first sons are getting ready to sell at Connelly's and some other places as well. One of the great things about Emerald, he's a calving ease bull with some look. With some calf vigor, with some stoutness and power. Again, I think that's one of the hardest things for us to find as breeders is these calving ease, heifer acceptable bulls that still have some base width, some mass and muscle and performance to them. And Emerald is proving himself to be that quite well. We were very pleased and very fortunate that he got sampled so well. He's almost at 0.9 birth weight accuracy already before his first sons will start to sell here in just a few weeks. He's currently got a little over 90 ultrasound scans. He's currently ratioing 104 for ribeye and 103 for IMF. So a little more performance, a little more power and base width than you'd expect from a bull with this kind of calving ease and real extreme heifer acceptability. The question that kind of hangs over the bull for me is, where is he going to sire on stature? Emerald himself is a fairly moderate frame bull, and I would say probably for some customers, you know, you'd look at him and say he's probably not big enough framed for some of you. He's a 5.5, 5 3/4 frame bull, but and he's 0.3 on yearling height, which I actually like. I think when you talk about the performance this bull has, and still 0.3 for yearling height, that's a really nice combination. The thing about Emerald, he was out of a bigger framed Armory daughter. His dam sold his pick of the dams in the Connelly sale, and she was a big cow. And so it'll be interesting to kind of see where this bull ends up in terms of mating for stature. Right now, he's got 53 yearling height records, progeny records in ratioing 100. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we just call him kind of middle of the road for right now, but that's something that we need to figure out as we learn to better mate Emerald. The next bull to talk about is Musgrave Crackerjack. Crackerjack was the top selling bull out of Musgrave's 2 years ago, and the first sons again are getting ready to sell. I keep going back to this conversation about elite calving ease but still have phenotype and look and visual quality. Crackerjack fits right in that group of bulls. He's in the top 4% of the breed for calving ease, lots of style, awesome cows behind him in the pedigree. This bull's fairly moderate framed. He's a bull that's got superior structure, really up-headed, good shouldered cattle, but they're cattle that are not going to be large in size. And so here's one of the largest sire groups at Musgrave. You're going to see a lot of sons selling here in just a few weeks. I put in here, and I did it with some caution. I said, protect this bull on performance. And I don't want to suggest that the cattle don't grow, but I want to say that in this day and age in the Angus population, there are cattle that grow exceptionally well. They grow more than maybe any other beef breed. And we consider Angus cattle now a terminal breed of beef cattle. And I would say that Crackerjack kind of still more on that maternal side. Not that the cattle don't grow and don't grow very acceptably for a lot of operations and a lot of environments, but you know, if you want a big time scale crusher type of a bull, this may not be your bull. But he's certainly a bull that can be used on larger frame cows that have lots of performance. So I just kind of protect him that way just a little bit. He's going to hang around 100 to 110 for yearling growth, I think, once we get him fully proven. Here's a bull that's got superior field fertility. If you talk about commercial heifer projects, his ability to combine elite calving ease at a proven level with demonstrated superior field fertility, Crackerjack is a great, great option. One of the bulls that I think is flying under the radar screen, maybe just a notch, is a bull called BR MVP. And this is a 1682 son out of some of the great Bill Rischel destination breeding on the bottom side. Again, 1682, you know, those cattle have done a lot of things well. They're easy fleshing, moderate sized, really nice maternal cattle. There's some stereotypes out there about those cattle, and partly because the bull's been used so heavily. And so I'll just suggest that MVP does some things maybe better than his sire in terms of structure, in terms of fertility, and kind of defies some of those 1682 stereotypes. This is an outstanding heifer bull with a lot of extra bells and whistles. MVP has been one of those bulls that's been really, really good semen producer. He makes a lot of semen and he has very high quality semen. This bull's excellent footed and really good in his skeletal design. If you look at his picture, he's awesome in terms of the way he's designed up front. He's up-headed. His shoulder blade lays on his rib cage really nicely. He's cleaner fronted maybe than some of this line of cattle that you would expect. And so again, just a different type of a 1682. And I'll let you kind of interpret that and look at his picture and some videos and study some of those cattle. Here again is a bull that's available in sex semen as well as conventional semen, but a bull that has some very, very unique piece to him that I think sometimes gets a little bit overlooked. Another interesting young bull in our lineup is Ellingson Rangeland. This would have been the kind of the feature bull at Ellingson's in their 2020 sale. One of the great things about Ellingson's is they focus heavily on maternal traits, proven cows, cows that will work in their range country. and Rangeland's appropriately named because of how Ellingson's kind of plan to use this bull and what they think of this bull. He's a bull that got bred to a lot of heifers, and they're calving him to heifers right now. In fact, I got a text from Chad and Stetson both within the last couple of weeks and said that they think the first couple calves that are coming out of this guy make him a very heifer acceptable type of bull. But the cool thing about Rangeland, he's in the top 5% of the breed for both foot EPDs. It shows in his type, in his phenotype. I think some of the reps that are on the call that have seen this bull know how good footed that Rangeland is. And again, that's kind of a hallmark of the Ellingson breeding program, that base foundation in those cattle that's really good in terms of foot structure and longevity and structural integrity. Rangeland's a low pap bull. For those customers who may be on the call who are at altitude or who live in the West, here's a bull that you can use at some elevation. He's got a low pap EPD, and he's got a lineage that's kind of well known for that low pap EPD. He again is one that's available in sex semen as well as conventional. I'd be kind of missing the boat if I didn't talk about SAV territory, because there's so many resource sons on the market. But one of the great things about territory is he's the one that Kelly Schaaf is kind of anointed as the one that he wants to use to take his breeding program going forward. And for that reason, and that's the primary reason, we really are fortunate to have territory in our lineup. This is a high performance power bull. This bull sires elite yearling growth with lots of muscle expression, lots of base width, and lots of power in the cattle. This was a sire group that was one of the high selling sire groups a year ago at Schaaf's, and Kelly just told me recently they've got a lot more of them coming. A lot more territory cattle are being born here as we speak. Another bull that's available in sex semen. The density daughter, it's the dam of territory, is probably one of the highlights of this bull's conversation. She was the dam of several top selling bulls in the recent Schaaf sale and kind of one of the featured donors at Schaaf's. And so for any of you that follow the Schaaf breeding program, you know the density cattle are just massive made, really, really wide bodied cattle. And Territory's dam is no exception. So kind of a unique bull that we're really fortunate to have that Kelly thinks very highly of. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about two Ashland sons that we acquired a year ago from Gardner Angus Ranch in Kansas. One of them is GAR Greater Good. The other one is GAR Kansas. And I'll kind of talk about them as a little bit of a comparison and contrast, because even though they're both Ashland brothers, they're both very different in terms of their type and kind and how I would foresee they should be mated correctly. Greater Good would be the bigger statured, later maturing, longer bodied brother of the two. This bull's kind of a 6 1/4, 6.5 frame type of a bull. His current marbling and ribeye EPDs are at 1.59 and 1.1 respectively. This bull had very impressive individual ultrasound scan at 15.1 square inches of ribeye with almost a 10% actual intramuscular fat. That's kind of an impressive pairing, and we know those traits are heritable. He's currently sitting at $212 a beef for a $324 combined index. Of the two brothers, Greater Good's the better footed one. We know that Ashland, I actually think the Ashland cattle are pretty good footed, probably better footed than their EPDs suggest. But Greater Good would be outstanding in terms of an Ashland son for feet. His front toes are very good, very even and balanced in his toe shape. You know, his back toes, he's maybe a notch shallow in his back toe, or his back foot, but I think very acceptable and certainly the very, very good footed brother here. He's wider base than this picture represents, and you're welcome to say, oh yeah, right, Aaron, whatever you think. But this bull's a little later maturing bull. This bull will be very impressive when he's 4 or 5 years old. I think you'll be really impressed with the picture I think we can get out of this bull once he matures. But he's stouter made, wider base than maybe this immature picture kind of represents. I'd probably protect him just a notch on scrotal. You know, his EPD's at 0.8 plus 0.8, which is very acceptable for most matings. But you know, I saw this bull not too long ago, and I thought relative to the stature and the growth and development of the bull, not sure his scrotal has quite kept up with that. I'm not that he's a little scrotal bull, but maybe just a place to protect him a little bit in a mating. In my opinion, Greater Good is an awesome option to mate the GAR Drive daughters. And of course, Drive is another bull in our lineup that was from Gardner's a few years ago. I also think Greater Good's an awesome option on Momentum daughters, GAR Momentum daughters. He too is available in Sexed Ultra 4M now. Just a really, really unique bull. You study his EPD profile and kind of what this bull does phenotypically. He was the top selling 16-month-old bull from the Gardner sale, and he's catching a lot of attention. Here's the dam of that bull. This is one of the reasons that we thought the bull was interesting as well. A very, very elite phenotype, surefire daughter that's long, super, super deep bodied, really feminine in her design, very good in her structural integrity. So we thought she was pretty interesting, and one of the reasons we tied into Greater Good. Again, the other Ashland brother to talk about is GAR Kansas. This bull's a little lower set. He's a little quicker maturing than Greater Good, and that comes through in his yearling height EPD. He's a 0.6 for yearling height, a little more moderate in his stature, a little easier fleshing, a little softer in his rib design maybe than Greater Good, and he's also the higher calving ease prediction bull of the two. He currently sits at 1.73 for marbling EPD and 1.21 for ribeye for a $216 B and a $318 C. Gardeners are using Kansas a little heavier than Greater Good for two reasons. One, because he's a little better for calving ease. The other is he's a little more conservative for stature at that 0.6 yearling height. So again, both these bulls are very good. Both these bulls have a place. I just think they're different in their type and kind and need to be mated kind of appropriately. He's another one available in Sexed Ultra. Finish up our Angus bulls with talking about a trio of show bulls. And I think for STgenetics, we've been fortunate to be able to have some of the very special and very elite show bulls in some of these breeds in our lineup. And the main reason for that is because we make sex semen and we prioritize sex semen. It's kind of low-hanging fruit for us. And Blacklist has been one of those great bulls that's been available in sex semen. The first calves out of this bull have dominated shows across breeds, not only in the Angus breed. He's sired calves that have done well across breeds that have an open herd book. If you look at all the champions and reserve champions that just came out of the Oklahoma Cattlemen's Congress, you'll find that a lot of them were sired by PBF Blacklist. Outstanding fertility bull. We're fortunate that this bull is an excellent choice. If you ever want to flush with sex semen, this is a bull that can perform very, very well in terms of fertility for flushing. He's an insight out of the first class daughter. There's a National Junior Angus Show champion female is the grand dam of this bull. So he kind of needs no introduction. He's kind of making a name for himself, but we're fortunate to have him in our lineup. Probably one of the bulls that is a real exciting up and comer for us is this Connelly Beekman Prowess bull. He's an Express son out of a Peak Dot Proof daughter. And Express was a bull in our lineup for a short time a couple of years ago. Didn't make it on semen quality or semen production, but we did get a set of sons made out of him that have been pretty well received. Kyle Conley, really appreciate Kyle. I don't know if he's on the call tonight, but he allowed us to come in and pick our first choice of the Express son, since Express didn't work out quite so well. And we picked this Prowess bull. He was on display in the 2020 Denver Stock Show in their pen, where he was extremely well liked. And then he was on display again here in Oklahoma City a few weeks ago at the Cattlemen's Congress. And this bull has an extreme amount of style and eye appeal and balance and structure in him. You would have to go a lot of distance to find many bulls that combine the phenotype, the structure, the eye appeal that you find in Prowess. We've got a bank of sexed ultra semen put up on him, and so he's going to continue to show. He won his class in the bull show in Oklahoma City, and they're going to continue to show him. We've got great things ahead for Prowess, and we're very excited about what's to come for this young bull. Another show bull that's really interesting is the bull from Dalportos. This is, Dalportos had the Sandy 30-40 cow that was so famous and continues to be famous in the show world. She was the dam of many champions, both on the heifer side, and has made some very elite bulls as well. This is the Sandy son that Dalportos kind of picked out as the one they wanted to take and go forward with in their program. This bull has no first class in his pedigree. One of the unique things about this bull is he's big hipped and he's stout and he's wide based, but he's still really sound. If you want to get me on a soapbox about Angus show cattle, it is that they have prioritized soundness and structure so much that they've bred the base width and the muscle out of these cattle in effort to make them just so free moving. And Perspective's a little different than that. He combines some power and some muscle and some base width, but still just as sound as a cat. Fills his track, reaches, and glides so nice on the move. There's a nice video of this bull on our website that'll make you appreciate him even more. He again is another one that's available in Sex Alter 4M and make a great set of show heifers out of this really, really unique bull from Del Portos. Switch gears a little bit and talk about a couple other bulls before we open it up for questions. This is a couple Simmental bulls. This first one is OMF Epic. He's an all-around out of a commander daughter, and I put his EPD profile in here at the bottom just to show you how unique he is. A big spread bull that's great on heifers, but still has lots of growth. Just look across his profile and you'll see he's in the top 5% of the breed for all-purpose index, top 1% for terminal index. Here's a bull that if you sort the purebred Simmental bulls in the Simmental database, with his combination of calving ease, yearling weight, and those two Simmental indexes, he's one of only 7 bulls in the breed. And then if you make them be homozygous black and homozygous polled, he's one of only 2 bulls in the Simmental breed that checks those boxes. So Epic's a unique bull. He's gaining a lot of steam. People love the phenotype they get out of this bull. I'm not going to say he's a power bull. They have adequate muscle, but this bull is an awesome pattern bull. He's got tremendous structure underneath him. These cattle balance and profile as well as you can make a Simmental and still have elite numbers. And this bull's semen quality, I know I keep referencing semen quality. This bull's probably as high and kind of sets the bar as high as any bull in our lineup for raw semen characteristics and his field fertility in terms of post-thaw motility and his sex semen quality. This bull's just really, really unique. Some of our competitors are now buying sons of this bull. He's one to really keep on the radar screen if you're a serious purebred Simmental breeder. A couple of elite phenotype bulls in the Simmental side. Hitman is one that we just so appreciate for his type and his kind. He's a Pays to Believe son, and Pays to Believe, of course, has been a very successful phenotype and show bull. But the Pays to Believe cattle, many of them and the bull himself are scurred. Here's a homozygous polled Pays to Believe son out of a very, very fancy lock and load daughter. I'll show you a picture of her just in a second. But this is a bull that you need to look at his video on our website at stgen.com to really appreciate what he is as a breeding bull. Impeccable structure, very, very sound in terms of his movement, his foot placement. This bull just reaches so nicely on the move. I think you'll appreciate him even more. Lots of places to use this bull, a little different pedigree for some of the sires in our lineup. Here again is another bull that's excellent in terms of his sex semen fertility. And I would give a little bit of a kudos to the Simmental breed. As a breed, they have very good semen quality, and these bulls work tremendously well in sex semen. This bull's a red carrier, which gives him a little bit of flexibility. There's, again, a lot of places to use Hitman. Here's his dam. I think you can see where he gets his style, his eye appeal. What an awesome fronted, up-headed, really nicely balanced feminine female, and that cow can really put a look in some cattle. And we think Hitman's going to be very prepotent for that type of phenotype that his represents. We're fortunate to have a great relationship with our friends Bobby May and John Griswold and John and Jeannie both. And they wanted to start off with a very promotable bull in the lineup at STgenetics. And so they allowed us to lease the bull called County O. And County O would be one of the biggest sire groups at Griswold's right now. Scott Shockey in Kansas, his family sold 3 daughters of County O last fall that averaged 21,000. Here's another red carrier bull that gives you lots of mating flexibility. We started him off at $150 a straw. He's now at $100 a straw for the spring season. So he's very competitively priced relative to what he represents and the other sex sorted Simmental bulls that are available in the industry. Talk about a couple red Angus bulls quickly. This is a bull called Relentless, bred by Sam Tweet in North Dakota. We bought this bull a couple of years ago as a calving ease prospect. This bull's continued to climb with progeny data for calving ease. He's now at like -6.8 birth weight EPD. with a 20 for calving ease direct, and a bull that can be used just without question on large groups of heifers across any breed or any mating situation where you demand elite calving ease. The unique thing about these calves, and we hear it from lots of customers, these calves have lots of vigor in cold weather, and a lot of these real extreme calving ease bulls can't always say that, but the relentless calves are very vigorous at birth. Bull makes really stout sons. Sam Tweed had a great sale with some of these sons here just a couple weeks ago, but maybe the greatest value in this bull is his daughters. These heifers are so pretty fronted, just so elegant in how they're designed. They're big bodied, square made, just very, very attractive. And you can kind of see that in this bull's mother. Here's a mature picture of her, I think for an older Red Angus donor cow. She's very level in her udder, very good in her udder design, and very deep in her body. So we like this bull a lot. He's a little moderate in stature. You want to maybe as you mate him and kind of protect him a little bit, mate him to those bigger frame cattle. Any cattle that need to be toned down and softened up for their fleshing ability, Relentless is a great option to do that. Then on kind of the other side of the spectrum for the Red Angus breed, I want to talk about this power bull called Red U2 Dominion. Dominion is a cow bull, but he's got lots of performance, lots of phenotype, and lots of muscle expression. If you look at this bull's picture, he's exactly what that picture represents. A bull that's kind of wide at the lower third of his body. He's got a great big chest floor in him, lots of muscle expression. He's a wide tracking, thick-ended bull. And the first cattle out of this bull are very, very impressive. I call them very three-dimensional type of cattle. He's a great bull to stouten up, kind of a bigger, flatter type of a cow that just needs some more body density to her, some more mass and power. Dominion's a great bull to do that. He's Canadian bred, so he's not very related to a lot of the cattle in the U.S. Red Angus population. I wanted to put in a picture of his dam as well. She sold in U2's dispersal a year ago, but I'll tell you what, just a really feminine headed, really pretty fronted female that's got a very, very tidy udder and a very high quality type of Red Angus female. So those are a couple of feature bulls in the Red Angus breed. Again, there's others. We just don't have time to talk about all of them, but there's some really good Red Angus bulls in our lineup. Talk about one Hereford bull real quick. Here's a homozygous polled strategy son out of a prospector daughter that was the top selling bull from Ryan Top's family a couple of years ago. It took us a little while to get semen on the market on this guy, so he's a little late to the party, but he's done very well as we've got him. Once he started producing semen, the semen was very good quality. He's another one that we've got available now in both male and female Sexed Ultra 4M. A highly, highly outcross pedigree for his genetic predictions. You know, Tops have been known for the phenotype, the power, the look of their Hereford cattle over the years. But this bull not only does those things well, if you look at his genetic profile and his EPD script, Master Plan is a bull that can move a lot of traits in the Hereford breed with one generation. And he does that in a pedigree that makes him outcross to Hometown and so many others. Just a very, very interesting young bull in our Hereford lineup. And then just to reference a couple of Charolais bulls, we're fortunate to have this young bull called Countdown in our lineup. We had the grandsire of this bull in our lineup called Resource from Gary Wright, and then we bought this grandson last spring from Brent and Nancy Field. And Countdown is an elite calving ease prospect, very good for his low birth weight, high calving ease predictions, but still has some visual quality to him. He's super long spine, long hipped, and very good in his structure. Here's a homozygous polled Charolais bull that has outstanding early field fertility. He's one of the bulls, one of the Char bulls that we were able to make in sex semen at a fairly early stage in his portfolio. I wanted to show Countdown's EPD profile just to show the percentile ranks on this bull. Top 3% of the breed for calving ease, top 10% or top 7% for birth, but still very high for weaning and yearling growth. And then just look at some of these other traits across here. He's top 3% for carcass weight, 1% for ribeye. That gets his terminal sire index or his TSI out to the top 2% of the Charolais population. So again, talk about bulls that combine some phenotype, some look, some pedigree, acceptability with a genetic profile that can kind of move the needle. LT Countdown is one of the very exciting Charolais bulls in our lineup. kind of finish up here and touch on a shorthorn bull. We don't have many shorthorn bulls in our lineup. In fact, Times Square is the only one right now, but Times Square was the lead bull from the champion pen of 3 bulls from Derek Jungles in North Dakota when he showed those bulls in Denver in 2020. And we kind of went in and there was a group of us from STgenetics that saw this bull show. We saw him in the pen on display. He's a solid red homozygous polled shorthorn bull that is just awesome in his look. Bull's very tight in his shoulder design. He's got a very calving ease front 1/3 to him, but explosive in terms of his hip design. Really, really deep body, lots of capacity, lots of power, lots of bone work underneath this Times Square bull. And then we were just delighted to find that his EPD profile allows him to be calving ease. This bull is a bull that's getting used pretty heavily in heifers. And I'll tell you what, in the shorthorn breed, the females have been so highly prized that sex semen's been very popular on Times Square. And here's a bull that's been great for semen quality, and he was a great option to put up sex semen at a very early stage in his career as well. So he's available in conventional as well as sexed female and male sexed ultrafolium. So kind of close with that, and then talk about some new releases and just kind of draw back the curtain here real quickly before we open it up for questions. The bulls on the left were bulls that we acquired in the fall of 2020, and bulls that are just now finishing up their CSS quarantine and will be released here pretty quickly. KG Just Cause is the top selling bull from KG Ranch in Montana. Sitz Mountaineer is a calving ease, very low PAP score, high altitude kind of a bull that is in the top 1% of the breed for his PAP EPD. I think he scored an actual 36 for his PAP measurement. And so again, for you breeders who are on the call that need these cattle at altitude, Sitz Mountaineer is going to be a great option. And that bull has produced very, very well for us at a young age and an early stage. Sitz Intuition was the top selling fall bull, or top selling bull out of the fall sale for Sitz's last December. And that bull's just now clearing CSS quarantine as well. And a bull that Jim Sitz is going to use extremely hard, a bull that's a little different pedigree for him, but still does all the things that he desires in terms of ideal Angus cattle. The bulls on the right are just a little bit of a glimpse of young bulls that we've been able to capture so far in 2021. The first bull is a Cinnaton Bull. He's a homozygous black, homozygous polled purebred, lot 12 from Tom Hook's Bred for Balance sale. He's a CDI mainline grandson out of Hook's Eagle's mother. And he'd be a maternal brother to Hook's Eagle from the Gen X lineup. And Headline is an awesome phenotype bull that has all the genetic power, all the index power to go right along with it. A bull that I think will see heavy use in the Simmental population. 2 exciting Angus bulls from Hoffman's just sold about a week ago, a Growth Fund son and a Jet Black son with very outcross bottom side pedigrees out of a highly proven cow that do some things very uniquely in terms of heifer preg EPD, calving ease, some of the things that are really important for longevity and viability of Angus cow herds. Very excited about kind of a power bull that we just bought yesterday. I see that Helen Geppert is on the call, and I appreciate you guys being on. We're excited to partner with you on this No Doubt son, who's the lot 1 bull from Rock Creek Livestock. And when we saw this bull, Ryan and I saw him, I mean, he's a bull you'll just stop and appreciate. Massive design, No Doubt son. I saw Don Tremors on the call. Don's a great competitor, kind of leads the genetics for Alta, and Don, we're honored to have you joining us this evening. But Don's been very successful with the No Doubt bull, and we've looked for a long time for a No Doubt son that was kind of unique, and we think we found him in this one. This bull's out of a proven impression daughter that's like 11 or 12 years old. She's the dam of several top-selling bulls out of the Rock Creek Livestock sale over the past number of years. And then a young bull that's actually just a fall born. He probably won't be available until the fall of 2020, but a big numbered, big indexing bull that's like 1.4 for marbling, 1.4 for ribeye, a bull that has lots of interesting places to use him is a bull called this Beal Prophet K263 son. So we're going to continue to try to bring in the good bulls. we realize that not all these bulls fit your breeding program or what you would deem as ideal. You're going to see us have a diverse lineup. We're going to try to have something for everyone. And this is just a little snapshot of kind of what's in the pipeline. So we'll kind of close with that. And again, all of our team is on, or most of our team is on if they made it through that long conversation. And we're happy to answer any questions you might have. I would just say thank you to the folks that have been customers already at STgenetics. We know we're a growing young company. We don't do everything right all the time yet, but we want to get it right. We want to hear from you if you ever have issues, and we want to do a great job helping you attain your goals. So thank you to the early customers, any of you who kind of may be on here tonight to learn a little bit more. We'd love to talk to you as well. If you'd like to receive a sire catalog in the mail, please reach out to us at beef@stgen.com by email, and just give us your name and mailing information, or you can reach out to us on social media as well. We'll get a catalog right in the mail to you and have that to you very shortly. So with that, I'll kind of open it up for questions. And again, anything's kind of open for discussion. Our team's available. Thank you for your time.
Aaron, we have a question from Grant in the chat. It says, what kind of conception rates have you gotten with your sex sorted semen?
Yep. Okay. Great question. So the best way to answer that, Grant, is that conception rate really varies from herd to herd. It's kind of challenging for us to say you'd expect to get 75% conception rate in your herd and expect that across the board. So you kind of got to look at it as relative conception rate. What do you normally get in your herd? And then what do we expect when we start using sex semen in your herd? And what I would say, and what I think our team has found so far, is that sex semen conception rate is highly bull dependent. So I'll tell you that we find bulls that will rival conventional semen, or even better. There's some bulls that when you sort the semen and you take out the dead cells or the abnormal cells, you come up with a very pure dose of semen with sex semen. And there's some bulls that actually will perform better than conventional semen with their sex semen. There's other bulls that don't do as well. And we sometimes have to learn that by trial and error. So I'd say there's big variation in the population. One of the things I would encourage you to do is reach out to your STgenetics representative. They kind of know, based on experience and based on kind of field data and field performance, which bulls kind of have a knack for working really well in sex semen. And they can kind of give you that short list. They may be able to guide you a little bit and say, you know, if you had 2 or 3 bulls you were interested in sex semen, they may be able to tell you the one that they've had great success with in terms of field conception rate. So anybody else on our team can add to that response. There's no question there's some variability to it still. There's some bulls that do well and some bulls that don't do so well. If I had to just put an average number out there, I'd say we're probably 5 to 10% behind conventional conception rate with sex semen still. Great question.
Aaron, one of the things that I would add from, you mentioned that, reaching out to us in the field. One of the things that I would add too is, especially with sex semen being packaged in the 1/4 cc straws and the 4 million cell count, handling and thawing is critical with the sex sorted semen. So, and along with that being that the extended hours of breeding time, where we used to go on the 12-hour kind of AM PM rule. We're looking to breed those bulls at that 18 to 22 hour window after first observed standing heats. So I think that's critical too as well for success with sexed and sorted semen.
Yeah, that's a great point. Make sure you put it in at the right time. Handling is really, really important with sex semen. So if you're AI trained, you've been taught that it's a combination of doing a lot of little things well. And we would say that's never been more important than when you handle sex semen. Great point.
Yeah, and just to add to that quickly, I think one thing that differs in our catalog versus our competitors is just the amount of research information and editorial pieces we have in our catalog for sex semen use and handling. I know that in this spring catalog, there's a page on breeding times. We have a page with a semen tank, and it shows, kind of the semen tank storage and handling. We have a page at the very end of our catalog on AI recommendations and tips for success with sex semen, as well as a page on our quarter cc straws too. So we try and make our catalogs pack full, not only of our sires, but also researched information on sex semen, and just try and help you guys out as far as breeding, and that way you can get the highest conception rates possible. Aaron, we also have another question in the chat from Kayla Brown. She says, sorry we came on late. What is the long-term availability of SAV Renew since he's no longer producing due to an early death?
Hi, Kayla. Thanks for being on, and thanks for your question. You may have seen it there. I had an extra slide I almost put in on Renew, because he's one of these bulls that's, again, kind of flying under the radar screen. Renew sold a couple of years ago at Schaaf's. He was a renowned son. Kelly Schaaf decided that he couldn't use that bull in his program because he's got so much of that blood and so much of those Renew or renowned type genetics in there. But I'll tell you, our team came into Schaaf's bulls and just absolutely loved that bull. I mean, he was just a wide body, very three-dimensional bull that was set out wide at all four corners of his body. And so we went ahead and bought that bull, and we partnered with Ingram Angus on him. As you referenced, he kind of had an untimely death, and we no longer have that bull with us, but we do have a bank of semen put up. And we're actually about out of conventional semen. I think we're down to, 100 straws or so of conventional semen. We do have a couple thousand straws left of sexed female, and I think we've got maybe some sexed male left as well. But I think that'll be short-lived. If that bull breeds like his kind, I think he's a very unique individual that maybe whoever can capture the good out of his genetics that are left, I think can stand to benefit. But he's out of a really unique pedigree because he's got cavalry on the bottom side, which is very different for a lot of the Schaaf breeding, but still brings through the foot quality and the visual quality that you get out of the renowned genetics. So thanks for asking about him. And yeah, he'll only be available for a short time. Any other questions about sex semen or genetics, or just kind of the direction of the industry? Anything you'd like to hear from our team, we'd be glad to answer for you.
Yeah, this is Darren Herbst. Can you hear me?
Yes, Darren, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question about your bull selection. You've been through and kind of explained that, nobody's going to have just all a lineup of perfect bulls. But how do you decide where you're going to go to look for bulls, and what fits everyone wants good feet, everyone wants phenotype, but you have to limit where you go, who's you look at. How do you go through that process? Sure,
that's a good question, and it's probably got several components to the answer. I'll try to be fairly succinct in saying that, but you're right. You can't just go kind of blindly into looking for Angus bulls or any breed of bull and expect that you're going to come up with something marketable. We have to start kind of on paper. you know, we have to sort these bulls on genetic traits that we want to sort for. Calving ease is always going to be popular when you're in the AI industry. We breed a lot of heifers, and so not every bull has to be a calving ease bull. Not every bull has to be a heifer acceptable bull, but that's one of the important things that we're going to start out with. And then we're going to sort for growth. We want these bulls to be at least above average for growth. They don't all have to be extreme for growth. And then we like to have all the accessory traits that go with it. Carcass traits. A lot of these breeds have indexes now that we can use to kind of help steer us in the right direction. And so we're going to sort some bulls that are fairly elite on those index numbers. But once we identify that on paper, we'll start peeling it down to maybe some pedigrees we like. So I always tell students when we're talking about these types of things that, you know, there's always going to be pedigrees, particularly on the seed stock side, that are more popular than others. And that is true in breeding cattle or breeding quarter horses or breeding poodles. There's always pedigrees that are more important. They're more popular than others. And so sort that down a little bit. And then there's no question, and this is maybe a little bit of a sensitive statement, but there's no question that there are breeders and herds that are more desirable than others. And some of the ways that they get to be that way is their reputation for being easy to work with, their reputation for integrity. If something doesn't go well, their ability and their reputation to turn in high quality data. And that when those bulls prove out to be progeny proven, that those bulls are still something that have some genetic merit. And traditionally, herds that have large contemporary groups. That's always been and continues to be somewhat important. In the era of genomics, that becomes a little more of a gray area where I think genomics has enabled smaller breeders and smaller herds to kind of surface with a special bull. And there's no question that we bring in bulls now from large herds, small herds, and kind of everything in between. And genomics has kind of facilitated us identifying some of those bulls. So that's kind of a snapshot of it. Of course, we like to go look at them. We like to do some homework on their mothers. We like to see what they look like in person. And if they can kind of check all those boxes, they get to be on the short list. And then we just have to see if we can get them bought.
Thanks, Aaron. We have another question in the chat from Keith Cole. He's asking about PVF blacklist and says, when using on Angus cows, what do you need to protect on him?
Yeah, good question. And thanks for your question, Keith. The blacklist calves that I've seen so far, and I probably get to see a selected population of them because I see them at shows. So those are ones that have already kind of been identified as the good ones. But as a group, I would say that the blacklist calves can be a notch moderate stature. We know that it's easy to make show cattle that perform and do a little better in the show ring if they're bigger. I would protect him a notch on frame size. I think the quality is very, very good. When you hook that bull to a bigger cow, I think you're going to be more successful with blacklist.
One thing I might add, Aaron, is that as it maybe kind of plays into what you were talking before about how we look at bulls and how we choose bulls and sort bulls. But as I would urge, you know, folks that are on the call tonight to, as they get progeny, maybe out of our bulls or competitor bulls or whatever, but let us know, let our people in the field know what those progeny look like, what the birth weights are, how their birth at vigor is, and or vigor at birth is, and those kind of things. And please let us know those things. And if you got pictures, please send those in to us as well, because we can certainly utilize that, and we like to know. So
yeah, that's a great point. Haley does a great job. I mean, she organizes all those pictures, not only for social media, but for our print advertising. And so you might be kind of surprised that you may think your calf, out of all the calves that are born out of one of our bulls, doesn't matter much, but just the simple function of sending in a picture makes a big difference to us. So please do that. That's great advice, John.
we like to know the good with the bad too. So, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, John and Aaron, for that. We have another question in the chat from Grant. He says, in my ranch setting, I look for high dollar EN. What is the traits I give up in searching for bulls with high dollar EN?
Yeah. Okay, so dollar energy or dollar EN in the Angus breed is an index that evaluates the input side of the equation. And so we sell outputs, we sell pounds, we sell performance, but sometimes we forget what it costs to make those pounds and that performance. And so dollar energy or dollar EN helps us evaluate those input costs, particularly on the cow side. And so some things that help dollar energy improve or increase are a little more conservative milk, because it doesn't take quite the nutritional level to be a more moderate milk producer, and probably more conservative mature size and height. Height and mature size are highly heritable traits. If you can make those more moderate or more conservative, the dollar energy becomes more desirable. What I think the question was, what do you give up in doing that? That is, in some cases, some performance and some production. The high dollar EN cattle as a group are not as high for yearling weight. They're generally not high for carcass weight if you were to evaluate the carcass traits in those cattle. So there's some output that maybe you give up, and some pay weight that maybe you give up, and you just kind of have to balance that in your breeding program in terms of the input side, where you're selling your calves. Are you selling at weaning? Are you selling at yearling? Are you retaining ownership and feeding out those cattle and selling them on the rail? Lots of questions need to be answered about those types of goals before you decide where you need to be for dollar energy and some of the other indexes. Any other questions?
Aaron, we have a question in the chat. Yeah. Nicola, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, says or asks, is semen available in Italy on our Chianina beef cattle? Any Chianina beef cattle?
Thank you for that question. I'm actually drinking my Pellegrino water that is bottled in Italy. But we do have some genetics that are available in Italy. It's a little more challenging from the health trait side of it. The bulls that qualify for the EU markets can't have ever been vaccinated. And that kicks out a lot of our sire lineup for qualification to sell semen into Italy. And so we've got some Angus bulls available. There may be a key bull or two available. We just have to kind of look and do a little homework on that. But the vaccination protocols that we use in the US beef industry generally limit the bulls that can be sold into some of those EU countries. But reach out to us on a private message, and we'd be glad to share with you the bulls that qualify for Italy.
Aaron, just while we're waiting maybe on a few more questions to come in, would you maybe want to touch on a few of our programs like our STalks and our Ultra Fertility, EcoFeed, things like that?
Yeah, sure. So what Haley's referencing is some of the brands that you'll see put on our bulls in our marketing and promotion. One of those things would be Ultra Fertility, and that's a process or a program where we take 500 straws of semen from all of our beef bulls, and that semen gets sampled into dairy herds. And your initial reaction might be, well, why is that useful information if you're trying to breed beef cows? And the reason it's useful is because you're breeding large populations of cows in a similar environment. even though they're dairy cows, they can tell us some very early differences about the fertility of these sires. And we can at least identify which bulls are below average, which bulls are average, and which bulls are above average. And so then we take and put that into an index based on semen quality, post-stall motility and morphology traits, and some of that preg check data out of those dairies. And we come up with an index called SCR, which is sire conception rate. And the bulls that are very elite for SCR, or sire conception rate, are bulls that we identify, or we brand then as ultra fertility sires. And we have a list of those bulls in our catalog. I think it's on page, help me Haley, is it 37?
Yeah, so our ultra fertility sires are going to be in our spring catalog on 39.
Page 39 in our catalog is a listing of ultra fertility sires, and it kind of shows a little bit about the process we go through in sampling those bulls and identifying those very elite fertility bulls. So those bulls that qualify for that designation are great bulls for large herd heifer breeding projects, anytime where you're not maybe checking heat or checking estrus quite as closely, anytime that elite fertility is in demand. And obviously we'd expect that across all of our lineup. I tell you that the average bull in our lineup is a high fertility bull. We have no problem throwing away semen or pulling bulls out of the lineup that don't kind of meet our specs for fertility and semen quality. But this ultra fertility designation is just those bulls that are really at the out at the tip of the curve in terms of their ability to be highly fertile. Another one, Haley and some other folks are welcome to join in and talk about this, but we have a designation called Style, which is our kind of our show focused, phenotype focused lineup. Again, as we referenced in the talk, we've been fortunate to have sex semen technology and kind of be the leader in that at STgenetics. And so folks wanting to make show cattle and specifically show heifers with our sex semen can use the Style bulls to really capture the elite phenotype bulls, the bulls that'll have that look that folks are after in the show ring, and for cattle that they want to make for junior programs or cattle they want to exhibit. We have several of those bulls under that Style designation that we do that.
Yeah, and all of our Style bulls are listed in our spring catalog on page 54. It also will show you all the bulls in the different breeds, the Style sires that we have, as well as what they're available in as far as conventional sex female and sex male. So.
Great. Might touch on our shipper real quickly. Anybody on our team wants to talk about that, but we've got a kind of a unique proprietary shipper that we use that doesn't weigh as much as a traditional mushroom shipper. And so when you order from STgenetics, a lot of times you'll receive one of these kind of cube looking shippers in the mail that'll have your STgenetics semen in it. And there's still some expense associated with getting one of those shipped, but generally it's less expensive than a traditional mushroom type style shipping tank. So just one of those unique things that we're doing at STgenetics.
Hi, Aaron. Shelby here. I know Emily's not on the call, but I can go ahead and kind of talk about those shippers real quick. So we've had a lot of people ask about those shippers and kind of how they differ from, conventional shippers. So our shippers only weigh 16 pounds. So they make that right there cuts their shipping cost in half. So normal ground shipping for most states is going to be 3-day shipping. And then you're going to look for the most part anywhere from $50 to $60 round trip for that shipment. And then of course we do offer some shipping discounts. So if your semen total reaches $500, then you'll get half off shipping. And if your semen total reaches $1,000, you'll receive free shipping. So, most people are looking at about $25 to $30 for shipping costs, if any. So, they're really convenient. What we do too, as well, is you're not required to put any type of return label or take it to UPS at all. All you have to do is transfer that semen into your tank or into your AI Tech's tank, however you're going to do it, and then leave it wherever UPS dropped it off. So it's very user friendly, very convenient to move around with it only weighing 16 pounds. So also the material it's made out of is extremely durable. So people get concerned about it being left out in the rain, but it holds up very nicely. So it's made a lot of people, more willing to ship, because we'll have customers say that they've paid $100 plus for normal ground shipping. And that's not the case with these shipper tanks. So it also makes next day air and 2-day shipments as well more affordable for the customer.
Great. Thank you, Shelby. And Shelby, again, is kind of the leader of our call center there at the headquarters in Navasota. So appreciate that contribution, Shelby. Headquarters in Navasota. So any other questions? All right. Well, if there's not, again, we thank you so much. Looks like there's still several folks on the call. So just thank you so much for your business so far. And if there's anything we can do to help you reach your goals for your breeding program, please let one of us know at STgenetics. We're really excited about what's going on, and we hope to be able to help you sometime in the future.